What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bowl Call Fantasy Football Podcast. Today, we're taking a look at hyped players for the 2022 fantasy football season. Believe it or not, let's do this. All right, guys, we are back. Geek here from DFS Army. I've got Flex Shane with me, and we're taking a look at players that have been hyped for the 2022 fantasy football season. We're through, or we're getting through week 2 of the preseason, Shane. And
Yes.
Players are rising, players are falling. Should we believe the hype? That's the big question today. And I think we could just get right into it. There's a lot of players that are flying up draft boards in. The number one guy, we've got to start with the biggest hype machine and the biggest hype machine of them all. I've been talking about him on some of the shows that we've been doing, and that's Kansas City running back Isaiah Pacheco. Is there anybody being hyped bigger than this kid right now?
Listen, the fact is that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a bust. Even if he's okay, he's a bust compared to where the Chiefs took him a few years back. And Isaiah Pacheco is lighting up camp. So what you have to pay to get this guy, as far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute steal. And frankly, he is still a steal. So right now he's going at the RB50 spot, ADP 150. So it's
let me get the most recent. Actually, I'm going to go. Let me give a little more recent because I feel like the hype is actually more intense than that. So let's go. I'm taking a look at the NFFC because that's sort of the best measure right now for sharp players. And let's see where we got Pacheco going at the moment. 41. So he's moved up a little bit in the last week or so. He's now RB 41, but going after, and this is what you're right about. So to talk about this kid real quick, 90 plus percentile speed and agility score, leadership galore. He was the captain of his team. He was the captain of the Rutgers team for multiple years, actually had offers to leave and go to a real college football program, but stayed because of his guys, and he was a captain. Probably a bad decision in fairness, but that kind of guy.
Yep.
Already named the RB2 by the Kansas City coaching staff. They love him, right? This reminds me of James Robinson a couple years ago. It really, really does. But on a much better team. So he's going after Nyheim Hines. No upside Hines. He's going after James Cook, probably another hype product that I disagree with that hype, right? He's going after Melvin Gordon, who, a one hit away from being good. But with Pacheco, I'm going to throw this to you, but I believe the hype here. This is a guy that you want to get at his ADP, RB41. You want to jump his ADP. You got to make sure you're going to get him. I'm taking him ahead of, Kenneth Walker, James Cook, Cordero Patterson, Melvin Gordon, all those guys. I'm jumping ADP because if Pacheco emerges as the guy, he's going to lead your team to a championship this year. It's that simple. What do you say, Flex Shane?
Well, here's the thing: is you don't have to be you're willing to do that, which is 8th round, 9th round. You don't really have to do that. You can still wait. But as the hype continues and continues to boil up throughout the season, you might have to, because you might end up going right around round 8, round 9. So getting ahead of it. And next weekend, Kevin, as you very well know, is the busiest weekend in fantasy football drafts. So it's all coming to a head next week. So we got to be prepared. And this week, we're seeing a few more teams that are actually going to play with the starters. And so understanding what players are sitting and what players are not sitting, but conversely understanding, is the team playing the starters? For example, the Bills last week didn't play the starters. Okay, this week they're planning to play the starters. The Houston Texans yesterday, Dameon Pierce, who we'll talk about, he didn't play, which is a good thing because they didn't play the starters yesterday. So it's all one of those situations. So we got to continue to monitor where Pacheco is going relative to that. But Pacheco is going to be a good pick, whether it's in a redraft scenario next week when you're drafting, or in a best ball scenario, because obviously best ball, if he hits, it's perfect, right? But he's the perfect kind of bench stash player that really does have that league winning upside, because what we love about him is that 99th percentile, 100th percentile speed score, which is his size adjusted 40-yard dash, right? And it's one of the most predictive analytical tools that we have for running backs, especially for a player coming from a Rutgers, where okay, it's the school itself's not exactly known for its NFL prowess. What's interesting is that our boy Mike Flex Mike was hyping up Pacheco pretty much since the combine. So we've been on this guy, and then I mean, Mike, he's a sharp guy. He looks at the numbers, he looks at the X's and O's, and so far it's coming home to roost. So
Yeah,
I'm liking
I
it,
love
man.
it. I love it when a plan comes together, right? So,
Yeah.
Pacheco, get him on your team this year, guys. If you're watching this, you want the bowl calls, get him on your team. He costs too little to not have on your fantasy team. So make sure you get him. Now, let's talk about another hype job in the preseason. And I'm trying to go yes and no a little bit. So
Sure.
we'll see. There's a lot of yeses here and some nos. But I'm going to talk about Romeo Doubs, wide receiver, Green Bay Packers, rookie. Not the first rookie wide receiver they drafted, but the second. Now, Shane, here's the thing. I mean, he's getting a lot of hype, but I'm not sure that's translating a ton to his ADP at the moment. He is moving up stupidly in some dynasty drafts to areas where he probably shouldn't be.
Oh.
But as far as his current ADP, 60 WR 62 overall in high stakes league. So he's going, basically free. He's after, he's after names like Jacoby Myers and DJ Shark. So he's basically a free player.
Yeah,
so,
which is probably where he should be going, frankly.
Yeah. My feeling is no. I'm passing on this hype job completely. And here's my reasoning with Doubs. He actually it's great preseason. I played him last night in the preseason DFS. Wonderful. He scored. Excellent. Yep. Right. Great. Thank you, Romeo Doubs. But the reality is Aaron Rodgers is not the quarterback that you want to pair up with a rookie wide receiver. You just don't. He has never shown in his career that he will trust a rookie. He needs his guys. He needs his Jedi mind meld with his wide receiver in order to have success. Even Devontae Adams took 2 full years of marinating with Aaron Rodgers before he actually did anything. So for me, it's a pass. I'm passing on Romeo Doubs. How do you feel about him?
I feel exactly the same way as you. I mean, we go back and we were scouting these guys as we're starting to build up our dynasty rankings, right? And Romeo Doubs, when he got drafted by the Packers, you had to take note just because, hey, he got drafted by the Packers. But as you note, he wasn't the first wide receiver that was taken. That was obviously Christian Watson, who they traded up to get in the round 2. And the thing is that Watson's been hurt and is missing a lot of camps. So that's obviously worrisome from that perspective, but it's given an opportunity for Romeo Doubs to come and step up and make plays. And it's obviously not a bad thing. We can't totally discount the fact that he's a rookie, but at the same time, when the bullets are flying for real, I think we've been pretty clear, and you're the guy who's the most ahead of this. It's Alan Lazard, it's Aaron Jones, it's AJ Dillon, and that's pretty much all we want from this offense. And so
a little Bobby Tunyon, just for shits and gigs. But yes, do not trust Aaron Rodgers with rookie wide receivers. That just doesn't work out very well. All right, I got another rookie wide receiver, and this hype is real. This kid has moved up, not 21, but now 26 spots in ADP in the last week or so. Okay, and this is some serious hype, and I'm kind of buying into it. And that's George Two-Tap Pickens, right? Wide receiver, Pittsburgh Steelers. And a little bit of background. This is another guy that people don't understand really the background of Pickens. He was the consensus best wide receiver in college football. Some injuries combined with some personality concerns that some teams had dropped him down into the second round. The Steelers gobbled him up. Now, Shane, here's a couple of interesting points. The Steelers are really good at picking wide receivers. They're good at this, right? They're pretty good. Like, they draft wide receivers well. That's number one. So they have a history of success. Number two, and this is my favorite part, they like his nasty personality. They love that about him, which is very different from what other teams are like, oh, he's not a team player. The Steelers like that about this kid. And he has just looked spectacular both in the preseason games themselves and in training camp. So Are you buying the hype? He's also kind of free. He's going WR51. So if you want him, he's right there with the Traylon Burks, Sky Moore, Olave crew. The other rookies, he's now up there with them. I think,
I would, yeah, no, I would absolutely look at, like, if we're going to, if you're going back in time and you're looking at your rookie drafts, probably right around that, after Chris Olave goes off the board and you're staring at Jameson Williams or George Pickens, like, that's the discussion ahead of Sky Moore. I love Sky Moore, but George Pickens is a real deal. So for those who don't know, he did play for Georgia, and in his freshman season, he broke out at 18.5, which is a super early breakout age. Okay. He tore his ACL in 2020. So he missed a bunch of the 2020 season and missed pretty much the entire 21 season. And then he came back in the national championship game where they did win, but he didn't really contribute. Just, you could tell he just wasn't 100%. So there was a lot of question marks. The same thing for Jameson Williams. Like, he tore his ACL. He fell in the draft because of it. I say fell. I think he went at 11 or 12 overall. But George Pickens really fell because he was a black box prospect. And then you add into the fact, as you noted, he had the off-field issues. I don't want to get into it because it's all just hearsay, but it was some kind of like, this kid has some maturity issues. And, if you're going to go to a team, you want to go to a coach like Mike Tomlin. I don't know if you saw.
I did see with the kids, and Mike
yeah,
Tomlin.
yeah.
I mean, listen, Mike Tomlin's the man.
Yeah, he's just the GOAT, right? So you want that sort of thing, and then you kind of peel back the onion a little bit, and like Antonio Brown just totally went off the hedge, or whatever the hell. He just went crazy, right? And you got to think, okay, Tomlin obviously was able to hold that back until he left the Steelers. Well, I'm confident. And George Pickens, man, you look at him, he's pissed off, man. He's pissed off that he fell in the draft. He's pissed off that players like Tyquan Thornton, who's hurt, of course, went before him in the draft.
Never trust the Patriots to draft a wide receiver, by the way. That is just never going to work out well.
Oh, no kidding. So, yeah, no, I absolutely buy the hype here. Now, what's actually really interesting is that Chase Claypool is going only a couple more spots ahead of George Pickens. And so the question is, Kevin, you're on the clock. Do you like the upside of Chase Claypool because he's done it? Granted, it was 2 years ago. Or are you going to take George Pickens, who we believe is going to overtake him as the number 2 in that offense, maybe even the number 1 over Deontay Johnson?
Yeah, no, you're taking Pickens. Now, I want to qualify this a little bit. I love Pickens much more as a dynasty pick this year than I do as a player that's going to help my fantasy football team this season have success. My strategy with season-long fantasy football is really to take running backs that are one hit away in the bench spots, much more so than these kind of wide receivers that might emerge. It's really tough. I don't know who the quarterback is for the Steelers right now. Whoever he is, he's probably not that great. So I don't love him as much this season, but you're not doing very well with your wide receiver at this point in the draft anyway, if you're taking wide receivers late. So I like Pickens much more. I believe the hype in terms of the player, but I don't expect him to lead my team to a fantasy championship this season per se. Might get us a couple good games. Now, guys, before we go on, we've got a bunch more hyped players to go through, but I want to remind you, if you like the show, make sure you're subscribed to this channel. This is the DFS Army Fantasy Football channel. And of course, I've got a lot coming up tonight. If you're watching now, tonight I am doing a live stream of a high stakes draft that I'm going up against some of the best. That's 8 p.m. tonight. I will be live streaming my portion of this draft while I smash the experts. And you guys watch me make them into my bitches. Sislowski is in there. Statsational's in there. We got a lot of big names, and we're going to crush them. Now, also remember that over on the DFS Army YouTube channel, The Standard, we are about to start hammering our DFS content as well. I've got a video coming out today just talking about the common mistakes that people make on DraftKings and FanDuel, contest selection, lineup construction. It's super, super important, that video. And then starting next week, almost every day of the week, we're going to be live streaming back tests where we're going to use the Domination Station Optimizer, back test all of last season. Every single week, we're going to kind of fine tune our skills. We're going to get back into using the optimizer, creating mass multi-entry lineups. So we've got DFS going. We've got season-long fantasy football going. It is the best time of year. Get signed up at DFS Army. Of course, if you aren't, promo code kickoff preseason. I don't even remember. One of them is getting you a discount. I don't remember which one. Probably should have remembered that. Oh
You know what's
yeah,
sick though is like you go to the DFS Army Twitter feed, and it's just takedown after takedown after
yeah.
takedown after
There we go.
takedown. People are
All right,
winning real money.
let's get back into this. All right, so
Yes.
more hype jobs. Now, here's one of my favorite players this year. He's on this player is on every one of my best ball teams. Shane, 100%.
I
That's
love to
not
hear that.
normal. I've
No.
drafted about 70 teams. This player is on 100% of my best ball teams. Now he's finally getting hype and he's moving up. Let me see how many spots. Up 26 spots since August 2nd. Oh, since August 5th. Okay. And let me check the current ADP on this player. But I'm talking about Damian Fierce Pierce, my absolute lock button best ball play all season long. He's now up to, and still too low, RB 34, up 26 spots just in the last week. This is why he's on all my teams, by the way, because I was getting him for free, right? But Damian Pierce, what was the news today, Shane?
That he's not. Well, he didn't play in the preseason game yesterday, which
And
is a good
why didn't he
sign
play in the preseason game? Why?
because all signs are pointing to him, shockingly, beating out Marlon Mack as a starting running back on the Houston Texans.
Yes. You're getting a starting running back. Again, we talked about James Robinson 2 years ago. A lot of people said, well, the Texans, not that good of a team. Do you really want their running back? Well, you remember that the Jaguars were a pretty shit team 2 years ago when James Robinson came out of nowhere and was the starter and had a spectacular top 6 running back season. And you got him for nothing. Damian Pierce, why, what possible reason would the Texans say, oh yeah, let's roll out the molasses-footed Marlon Mack and 37-year-old Rex Burkhead? No, they're going to give the kid a shot, right? They're going to give the kid a shot at being the starter. He averaged 9 yards per carry. Listen, that's a preseason game, whatever.
It doesn't matter.
But he looked good. He looks the
Yeah.
part. He going in. This was a player that, again, talking to some of the scouts before the NFL draft, this guy was a top 3. This was a guy talked about as one of the top 3 favorite running backs in this draft. He dropped down. He dropped down a bit, in terms of his draft position. But draft position is, of all the spots, running back is the one where you can kind of throw it out the most. Wide receivers drafted in the 7th round, they're not going to work out. But running backs drafted late, they do work out. There's no reason why the Texans won't start. I love Damian Pierce. How do you feel about him?
Man, love him. Absolutely love him. And starting to regret that decision at that early second round pick, where it was really between Rachaad White and Damian Pierce. And I had Rachaad White ranked one spot above him, and that was just a testament of my scouting beforehand. But it's clear as day that Damian Pierce is outperforming. And here's some things. Okay, so last season, on 100 carries, Kevin, he broke 39 tackles. That's outstanding. Okay, he was probably one of the most efficient running backs in college football last season. The only problem is, and the reason that we had some pause, was the fact that he wasn't getting the opportunities, which kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit as to why. But he's an acrobat in the passing game. He knows how to hit the hole, and he's showing coaches that he can be trusted as, I think he could be one of those 3-down workhorse type backs.
He can catch. He can do it all. I love this kid. So I'm glad. I wish I had more dynasty exposure to him, if I'm being honest. Where in dynasty right now, I mean, he's got to be ahead of James Cook. I mean, if you're crazy if you're not taking him ahead of James Cook. And I think he's still one notch ahead of Isaiah Pacheco. But
no, he is. Yeah, Damian Pierce definitely is.
Yeah, that's about.
I would say like the top half of your rookie draft, and at this point, I mean, most leagues aren't doing rookie drafts, but if we were to redraft it now, I would say, again, right when you're getting to that George Pickens, I'm taking George Pickens first. I'm probably taking Jameson Williams first. And then after that, it's a discussion between Sky Moore, maybe even Jameson Williams. He's out of sight, out of mind right now, but trust me when I say he is electric.
Yeah, he'll be good.
So
he'll be good.
Yeah, he's going to be good. So we're talking dynasty here. Now in season long, he's still like Damian Pierce is still going to be. He's too cheap.
Let me tell you who he's going after, because this is so important. Who is he going after? So Miles Sanders is still going ahead of him. Really, Miles Sanders?
Stop.
You're not.
Get out
You
of
haven't
here
been
with
burned
Miles
enough by
Sanders.
him. Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny is going before him. Again, this is a guy on a team that will win maybe one game this year, maybe two. Injury-prone running back. How does that help you? Antonio Gibson, who's now kind of have a shitty role. Tony Pollard is going way ahead of him. Why do people keep taking Tony Pollard? What's wrong with you people? Stop doing that. Don't be stupid. What's wrong with people? Josh Jacobs is going ahead of him. So like, okay. Take Tony Pollard. Take fucking Antonio Gibson. Take Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, 2 running backs on the same team. I'm going to take Dameon Pierce after all of you guys and going to smash you in our league that we're in together. I'm going to make you my bitch. That's what I'm saying. Just take this guy. Let the suckers take Tony Pollard. I don't even get it. I honestly don't get it. I'm flabbergasted. Why are you doing this, people? I like that you do it. It makes me money.
Why? It's that Houston Texans discount. I mean, if they win 5 games this season, that's going to be impressive, right? Do you agree with that? Or like that's what you're getting discount because they don't think there's the upside of a league winner. They don't think he's going to be able to score double-digit touchdowns.
I like the Texans. I think the Texans, I'm betting the over on wins for the Texans this year. I think they're a little bit better than people think. I think they've improved in a couple of areas. But even if they don't, again, we saw James Robinson, as long as you can catch a pass, and Dameon Pierce can, I think he's a 3-down skill set. As long as you could do that, you could do fine. And again, we're not paying a premium. He's going after, after guys like Devin Singletary. We could talk about the Bills backfield. It's a mess. So I like the price. What happens if I'm wrong about Dameon Pierce? Nothing. Nothing. I took him late. I drop him. Okay. Or I keep him. I hold him. Second half of the season. He emerges, or he gets hurt and I drop him. And it didn't hurt me. So the cost is nothing. The benefit is massive. That's how you win your league. Loves me some Dameon Pierce. I hope that people who are drafting against me tonight in this league are not watching this, because he's a big part of my plan. Don't tell Sislowski about this bold call. Let's keep it between us. All right. Some more hype machines. Elijah Moore, wide receiver, New York Jets. Now, I'm going to throw this one over to you. Elijah Moore, spectacular talent, but Jets, that's one. Zach Wilson, already hurt. Not sure that even matters, because when he's not hurt, I think Zach Wilson may absolutely suck. I think he might be horrific.
Yeah.
So do we want to spend a top 32 pick? And that's what you got to pay for Elijah Moore. You're not paying that much, but you're paying a top 32 pick. I think he's actually number 32.
Wide receiver 32.
Exactly. So he's number 32. WR3. Do we want to pay WR3 price for this kid who is talent-wise, as talented as anybody? They're talking. Actually, Joe Flacco today compared him to Steve Smith Sr., which is as good of a guy. I don't know what better comparison you can ever make about a player than saying that he's got Steve Smith type skills. And so the skills are there, but can we trust him this year as our WR3?
Man, I'm smashing that WR3 ADP right now. He has all the upside to finish as high-end wide receiver 2. And if he gets in the box, because he's going to get the volume, he easily has a wide receiver 1 out. That's his profile. The one thing that kind of worried us about Elijah Moore as a rookie was that he came into the league at 178, which we talk about like 180 is kind of that Mendoza line where these players are just slight. They get hurt. And he's up to 191 now in camp. He looks all the part of an alpha. Kind of, what we think and hope Rashad Bateman can and will be is exactly what Elijah Moore is now. Frankly, I think that Joe Flacco is an upgrade for Elijah Moore, right?
What was Joe Flacco? I said it's almost bad that Wilson's gonna come back. Like if it was Joe Flacco, I think I'd be more interested. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about Elijah Moore having consistent production every week. Probably not paying for consistent production when you're drafting him as a WR3. Yeah,
I mean,
John knows what's up, by the way.
yeah,
For all
you're
the
still
streams, guys, make sure you stack up on your blue moons. That is a must. Or if you're in Canada, I'll allow you to replace it with Labatt Blue
a bat.
for my
Stop.
Canadian brothers and for my cousins in
Stop.
Canada.
Hey,
Labatt's.
listen, the great thing about Canada right now is that we changed all of the like the small brewery laws, the microbrewery laws. So they're everywhere, man.
Oh, I
So
bet.
you don't need to go like to drink the Labatt crap. You can go get like the good stuff at your local brewery. So yeah,
Every
all
third
I gotta
house,
say is
every third house in Manitoba is a microbrewery. I mean, come on,
pretty much
they're all
the
doing it.
basement. You see like the explosions through the windows every
Yeah.
at nighttime. It just lights up the sky. But I will say, so we're gonna do a hyped show in probably next week. I'd say as we just going into that last super weekend for drafts. And spoiler alert, my absolutely favorite flag plant player this season is going to be Elijah Moore. I just think the upside is there, the talent is there. We like Garrett Wilson, but he's a rookie. He's still making rookie mistakes, and so Elijah Moore is just going to dominate the targets. He's going to get, I think, 8-9 targets every single week. We don't expect the Jets to throw a lot because that's not how they're going to win games if they actually win games. But Elijah Moore is going to have 20 to 25% target share every single week, and he's going to produce. So I like it.
The verdict: buy the hype. All right, so a couple more. We've got more here and more hype products. And this guy, this is one of the biggest surprises for me. And I'm just going to talk about this entire wide receiver sort of backfield situation, wide receiver corpse situation for a team, because I think there's some mistakes. I'm seeing like smart fantasy analysts hyping up a player that they're sorely mistaken. They are going to get burned on this guy almost for sure. Like I feel very confident that they are getting burned. And I'm talking about the San Francisco wide receiver core and specifically Brandon Ayuk. Now, Shane, before the show, you mentioned that there's actually some hype going on for another player, Danny Gray, who's that's really deep, right? He's a speedster. People talking about Danny Gray. Forget that guy though.
Okay.
Not buy. No buy. But Brandon Ayuk has been shooting up draft boards lately. People talking about improved skills and more. Listen, this is a warning, Shane. Okay. And here's what the warning is. San Francisco already didn't throw a lot of passes to begin with. This is a team that wants to run the football. With Jimmy Garoppolo, when he was the quarterback, they were throwing 28 times a game, maybe 32. Like they want to run the football. Now you add in a quarterback that's going to replace 7 or 8 of those targets with designed runs. So now they're going to go from about 30, maybe 32 passing targets per game down to 23. So you want to tell me that running backs plus Deebo Samuel, who needs to get fed, he's not going to be the running back. So they're going to feed Deebo 7, 8, 9 targets a game, hopefully. George Kittle is on this team, and he's going to demand 6 or 7 targets. Right? That's 9 plus 7. We're at 15. Right? 2 or 3 or 4 to the running backs. That's 18, 19. What's left for Brandon Ayuk? 4 targets per game. You do not want Brandon Ayuk as your starting wide receiver this year. He's going way too high for what, like Brandon Ayuk, WR37 right now. Right? After him, you can get Kadarius Toney, Robert Woods, who'll get 7, 8, 9 targets a game. Sky Moore, Chris Olave, much, much better high upside plays. A lot of the guys we talk about. I am selling the hype on Brandon Ayuk. I am not interested. What say you, Flex Shane?
Yeah, I mean, this one's tough because I really do love Brandon Ayuk as a player, and I was one of those idiots last year who was saying that he was going to outperform Deebo Samuel. I thought it was going to be the Brandon Ayuk season. Dead wrong about that one. I was one of those guys. Sorry.
Oh my God, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you didn't listen to the bowl call. You argued with me. I told you last season.
Stole my soul.
Deebo over
Still
Ayuk. I have Deebo on every dynasty team that I drafted, and every single team last season won the championship. So that was an easy one for me. Big mistake.
So, yeah, I would say, listen, if you decided to go in another direction early in your drafts and you're looking at a wide receiver here, I don't hate Brandon Ayuk here, but to your point, it's going to be a very rough season if you're trying to decide, because he's going to be essentially one of your flex decisions every single week.
I do hate it.
Right?
I'm going full hate. Not even, I hate
Yeah.
it. I'm going full hate. I am actually going to say that if you are a watcher of the Bowl Call and you draft Brandon Ayuk, I have no sympathy for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss, but I have no
Yes.
sympathy for it. You're going to suffer. You're going to watch a guy who gets 4 targets. He's going to score 7 fantasy points. He's going to be he's going as a WR. It's crazy. He's going as a starting wide receiver. He's your WR3 when you draft him. And you took him ahead of Alan Lazard, who is locked into 6 or 7 targets with a good quarterback. You took him ahead of Kadarius Toney, who has massive upside if just some things fall into place. You took him ahead of Bobby Trees, a.k.a. Robert Woods, who's going to be the WR1 for his team with no competition for targets whatsoever. You have no sympathy for me if you take Brandon. Do not draft him. Why? Don't draft players on teams that are only going to throw 20 times a game, especially if it's not the number 1 target on that team. No sympathy. No sympathy.
None. Yeah, I haven't baked in right around his ADP, so I don't hate it, but I get your point. He's going to be a frustrating player to have on your team this year, just because he's going to go off 1 week on your bench. The next week you're going to start him, and he's going to be dog shit. Love you, Brandon Ayuk, but it's going to be too consistent.
He won't be a frustrating player on my team.
No.
He won't
and
be.
Sometimes that's what it's about, right? I mean, it's also about roster construction, who you're drafting around this area. There's going to be players like AJ Dillon you can probably take, like J.K. Dobbins. If you want to go with one of those upside quarterbacks, it's a bit of a teardrop. But Joe Burrow's going around that area. Russell Wilson is going around that area. So obviously, we preach take a quarterback late, but there's a lot of good options around that area of the draft where you can start those players with confidence. You know who I have baked in ahead of him, but still going after him in ADP? Your favorite boy, Alan Lazard. I'd much rather go Alan Lazard over Brandon Ayuk.
And even Lazard's a little overhyped at this point, but like I'll take him over Ayuk, but I'll take Kadarius Toney all day over Ayuk. Kadarius Toney passes the eye test. Like these are players that can actually help you win your league. And the WR1 for his team. I'll take the WR1 for the Giants. It's nonsensical. The WR1 for the Giants is going after essentially the number 3 or 4 target for a team that's only going to throw the ball 20 to 25 times a game. It makes no sense. And there's a real advantage in fantasy football, especially if you ignore like the sorry to say, but the run of the mill ADPs and analyst guys. There's a real advantage if you just ignore these guys because they're feeding you incorrect info. They're feeding people stuff that is just bad info, and it helps. Listen, it helps the ADP, but they're not thinking it all the way through. So I like that. Now, let's move to a player that's, we're talking about late round picks right now, but I want to talk about a player that's getting a ton of hype right now, and is not a late round pick, but rather maybe a first rounder at this point. That's Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley has moved up at this point to RB7 overall. Okay, so if you're looking at running back ADP, it's Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook. This is by ADP. Derrick Henry, and then right after Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is tearing it up in camp. He looks amazing. He has no competition for touches this year. None. But the negative side is the Giants' offense has been an absolute shit show. Not the kind of offense that you really want to invest a lot of high draft capital in. And Saquon Barkley has been an injury machine. So what do we do with Saquon Barkley at the RB7 position? My feeling is this is too risky of a play in the first round. I cannot justify Saquon Barkley as a first round draft pick. You don't want to lose your draft. So we lost Flex Shane for a little bit here. But you don't want to lose your draft in the first round. That's the ultimate rule of drafting. And if you're going to take, I'm just going to bring up the overall ADP. So Saquon Barkley He's going pick number 12 overall. He's going one pick ahead of DeAndre Swift, who I think is the same guy, but a little bit better. So I'm just going to take DeAndre Swift, but he's going a few picks ahead of Alvin Kamara as well, who I think is just a safer bet for similar production. So for me, at pick 12 as a first round pick, I'm selling on the hype of, well, let's pull him out over here, but I'm selling on the hype of Saquon Barkley. I think it's too aggressive. It's too scary. Too risky for me. Yeah. Listen, when you're coming out of like Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, even just having internet up there is a miracle. So too risky for me, guys. Too risky on Saquon Barkley. Oh, there he is. I just spent the last. Yeah, there you go. I just spent the last minute just talking about Saquon. A little too risky for me in the first round. I like him, but I don't want to lose my draft. I don't want to lose my draft based on this kid. The injury history is real. Mm-hmm. The ankles are like toothpicks. They snap. Like step on a pebble, the ankle's gone.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is the princess and the pea of fantasy of fantasy football. 10 mattresses. You put a pea under there, he's feeling it. Like that, he step on a pea, the ankle's gone. Can't trust him.
So all reports, Kevin, are that he's healthy.
He looks great. I know.
He looks fantastic. He looks great. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Now, for those of you who remember, like Saquon Barkley, he's a gladiator in the arena, but he's like one of the softest spoken, just like a kind of a gentle dude, like a gentle giant, you could call him almost, right? He's got a chip, man. He's getting upset with the fact that he was called up by his coach, Brian Daboll, and basically said that he dances too much at the line of scrimmage. Well, that's because his O-line and his blocking were absolute shite before, right? Now he seems to be hitting the hole with confidence. He's not, quote, dancing as much as the line of scrimmage. I am taking Alvin Kamara ahead of him because Alvin Kamara right now, everything's pointing to the fact that he's going to be around. He's not going to get suspended this season. And it's really a decision for me between Aaron Jones and Saquon Barkley. And I could see both sides.
Taking Jones ahead of him. Jones ahead of him. But you won't get it. He's not getting there. He's going pick 12 overall. He's going ahead of those guys.
Dude, in high stakes leagues, he's going to like the pick 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Like it's insane how high he's going. And that's just people. I mean, the truth is, the whole RB unit in rounds 1 and 2, there's so many question marks for a lot of these guys. And so people are kind of just taking, okay, Saquon's my guy. I'm going to take Saquon. If you bust on your first round pick, it's going to pretty much sink your season anyways. But in these high stakes leagues, it's win or nothing, right? So Saquon, we talk about range of outcomes. CMC, I would say absolutely highest just total upside in fantasy football right now. I would say Saquon, a perfect healthy Saquon is probably number 2 in terms of just massive upside. But there's just so much risk baked in because of the injuries, because he's on a shitty team in the New York Giants. I think they'll be better.
We hope,
but they still have Daniel Jones at the helm. So
yeah, it's just. Although I will say Tyrod Taylor's tearing up that camp too, and if Daniel Jones starts off rough, Tyrod, man, we might get this finally unleash the Ty God beast.
Yeah,
for the Giants. So there's some interest over there.
Yeah, so there was there's this discussion around camp because Tyrod was coming in and playing with the ones once in a while. And what Daboll said was, no, this is just to simulate real game action where what if Daniel Jones went down? Tyrod's got to be able to come in and be the starter instantly, right? So do we buy it? I think he's just kind of, hedging his bets a little bit.
Daniel Jones is still going to be the guy, but I'm just saying if he fails, Tyrod's there. So guys, reminder, like and subscribe to the channel, of course. And if you have a hype machine, you want to talk about it, pop them in the comment section. And if you're watching this on the replay, of course, let us know some of your thoughts on some of these guys that we're talking about. Are you buying? Are you selling the hype? Are you buying the hype on these guys? I want to know. I want to know what you guys are thinking. So let us know in the comments section as we go through this and as you're watching this, what you think of these players and are you buying or not? One last player we could talk about, and I'm not sure how much hype he's really getting. He's up a little bit, 21 spots in the last week or so. and that's Brian Robinson, running back. What are they called now? The Commanders?
The
Washington
Commandos. Oh,
Commanders?
Commanders. Yeah, I call them the Commandos, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Robinson, I'm not buying the hype on this kid. Listen, what I like about Brian Robinson is one thing and one thing only. He's one hit away from maybe being a quality fantasy starter on your team. And Antonio Gibson hasn't exactly been the most durable running back in the NFL. But beyond that, for me, Brian Robinson is in the pool of one hit away running backs that I like. That includes names like Hassan Haskins,
Isaiah Spiller.
Well, I'm not even sure he's one hit away, so I'm not convinced on him. But there's some guys that are legit one hit away guys. Of course, my favorite of all is always going to be Alexander Madison. You're talking about, Pacheco is in that group. I'd put names like Darrell Henderson in that group. I'd put names like Ramondre Stevenson in that group, and Kareem Hunt. So, one hit away guys. Rashad White is a great example of a one hit away guy who could really crush Michael Carter, all of those names. So he's in the mix for me. Khalil Herbert's in that mix. Tyler, he's in that mix. So I'm not buying hype on Brian Robinson. I'm throwing him in my pool of one hit away guys. I like guys like that on my fantasy bench.
Yeah. So, I mean, the hype around Brian Robinson isn't so much the hype for Robinson as so much as it is the anti-hype, the hate, as you will, for Antonio Gibson. Listen, it's going to be interesting to see how this last week and a half, 2 weeks of preseason looks with Gibson, because, it's all over the internet. He's been practicing with the special teams. He's been practicing with the punt units. It doesn't look good for Antonio Gibson, but
stay away.
He's still the most talented back on that offense. And I mean, honestly, the Commanders at this point, it's just a team to stay away from. Terry McLaurin, yes, is fine, but Carson Wentz he's just up and down, which is classic Carson Wentz, right? One day he'll look like an all-pro, the next day he'll look like he's a friggin' third-string practice squad type player. And, Jahan Dotson is a stud. We love Jahan Dotson, but I'm at the point where you can't really get any shares of him because he's going to disappoint you. Antonio Gibson, we don't know we're getting there. I mean, Antonio Gibson was kind of that ripcord last starting competent starting running back. I don't know if I'm there anymore on that.
No, this is not what I'm saying. For number one, I am not on Gibson. Listen, Gibson disappointed. We had hope. We had some hope. We all smoked the hopium.
The hopium.
And here's what the hopium said: that Gibson was a wide receiver in college, and so he's going to be this great pass catching. Where are the pass catches? They brought back J.D. McKissick. We were all hoping that Gibson was going to be this pass catching Christian McCaffrey clone, and instead we got a guy who's just an okay running back, and he gets hurt a lot, and they don't use him on third down. He can't pass protect to save his life, and that's one of the biggest problems. He can't pass protect. So they need a McKissick. They bring in a different guy on third down. That's a problem on a team that doesn't score that often. He doesn't do anything that you want on your team. And now he's got competition at the goal line with a bigger guy who should be better at smashing it in. It's basically, listen, Clipboard's right. I did love, I smoked the hopium too, bro. I'm not immune to it. I liked Antonio Gibson going into last year, but all right, listen, you got to be able to change your mind and adjust. And I'm not staying on it. I've got two more things I want to kind of just talk to you about. And this isn't so much of a hype thing, but the running back for the Eagles, like, what's up with that? That's number one.
Yeah, no, for me, I'm staying the hell away from Miles Sanders, but I'm probably going to be taking Kenny Gainwell. To me, it's a Kenny Gainwell play. He's going. Let me see if I got the ADP right in front of me, but I would say Kenny Gainwell's going right around 120, 130 overall.
He's
going. To me, it's still too early. Yeah, so he's going to RB 45, 133 overall. That's still too cheap. That's in round 11. It's still too cheap for a player that could be, but he's electric.
He's very small. 5'8". That ain't for me. It's 200 pounds. Kenny Gainwell is not. I mean, I talked to Gargano about Kenny Gainwell a couple days ago. No better Eagles insider than Anthony Gargano, and he's like, this kid is not he'll get some. He's not a starting running back. He's calling him more of a third down guy. So I don't know what to do with the Eagles running back situation, but I do know that I am not down with Sanders at all. I know he's cheap. I just, burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. This is burn me 5 times. Like, enough. This is year, 5 for Miles Sanders? 4 or 5? Whatever it is, he hasn't done it ever. So I'm not down with it. I don't know what to do with that running backfield. And the other backfield situation.
No, it's too risky.
I'm going to throw a name out here that I think is going too late in drafts as well. Another running back. I love the running backs because the running backs that you can get late, they can help you win your league. You're not winning your league with some wide receiver you pick. You're just not. It's the running back late that's going to help you win your league, right? DFS has taught us. What am I known for in DFS, Shane? Do you know? I'm known for playing the cheap running backs, right? You give me a replacement running back. That's my brand. My biggest wins have come from teams with 3 running backs whose names you don't know, because that's the brand, right? I'm going to name another running back that's really interesting and going as a running back 51 overall. Tyler Algier, running back, Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons in general, I think, are a team that are being a little underestimated because I think Mariota is actually good. I know this is going to shock people. I think he's actually good. And Tyler Algier, if he becomes the starter, I don't know if it's going to happen, but if he becomes the starter, you're getting, a nice little, Shane's internet's failing, so I'm going to close this out, but you're getting a nice little starting running back, basically free. You're taking him at the end of your draft. The very, he's 51, RB 51 overall. It's your 4th player on the bench. Costs you nothing. I like pairing him with Cordero Patterson, who's going RB 38, because fuck it. One of those guys is going to be the guy. So you can get those 2 guys really, really late. And if Atlanta becomes, Justin Baker, market, first of all, this is scaring me, and I don't like it one bit. Clipboard Jesus, don't agree with me. That's number 1. Scares me. Number 2, man, in my 2 QB leagues, I'm all about Mariota. I have a ton of him in my 2. The guy runs with what's not to like other than he gets hurt. Like, he's going to be the starter. I talked about him last year. He won somebody $1 million when he came in for Derek Carr in that Monday night or Sunday night, whatever that showdown game was. He won somebody $1 million. Marcus Mariota just running around out there. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, he's a running quarterback. I forgot about that. So I like Marcus Mariota, believe the hype, 2 QB league, super flex. That's the only kind of league I play in anyway. So it's important to really talk about that maybe a little bit. There's no hype around him actually, except for this hype. I'm hyping him. Believe in Mariota. And also, again, Tyler Algier, the rookie running back. They have no one else. Cordero Patterson, okay. Maybe it's him. That's fine. But I think Cordero Patterson might be a wide receiver on that team this year. So I think it's worth taking a shot on Tyler Algier. I'm going to end it there. Remember, like and subscribe to the channel for more great fantasy football content. If you're watching this live, guys, for the live crew, tonight, 8 p.m., I'll probably log in maybe 10 minutes to 8 and just kind of get prepared. I'm doing a live high-stakes league draft going up against some names that you know. And I'm just gonna broadcast it. Listen, it's gonna be if you want to watch it and have fun watching it, I think it'll be something interesting. I'll talk through my picks and my thought process. You'll see. Hopefully, I'll get my Damian Pierce on my team. Hopefully, we'll get a lot of these players that we're talking about, and you'll see I'm picking from the 3 spot, so you're gonna kind of get a feel for what a draft looks like. I know it's during the fight. I listen. I know, but technically, it's before the pay-per-view starts, John. It's before. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I love it. Pacheco in the 14th round. So DraftKings, by the way, best ball is very soft compared to Underdog or anything else. Like, do the best balls on DraftKings. You can really win those. So tune in tonight if you like. 8:00, you'll see me draft a team, super flex team. Not super flex, standard league. but starting from the number 3 starting spot with a 3rd round reversal. So we'll see how that goes. Wide receiver, maybe running back, maybe wide receiver round 2. We'll see. And then make sure you check out the DFS Army YouTube channel, the DFS YouTube channel, where I'll be putting out, I think, the most important video of this offseason, which is going to be basically why you're not winning on DraftKings. And I'm going to explain contest selection and lineup construction for the various contest types. We're going to talk about, it's really going to be focused on people who bet between $50 to $500 in a weekend. And I'm going to teach you how to be profitable doing that. Very important show. Very important show. It's going to be on the DFS Army YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed to that one as well. And of course, I'll be back with Shane throughout the rest of the offseason, breaking down various fantasy football things. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next day. Yeah, you know, put the stream on one thing, put the fights on another thing, you know, all good. All good. So trust me, I want to be watching the fights too, but I signed up for the draft and I got to do it. So there we go. We'll see you next time. For Flex Shane, for myself, for the Bowl Call podcast. Good luck, everybody. Let's crush it.